So today we've been very lucky to test drive and review this gorgeous Italian piece of history.
It's just such a beautiful car, and we're going to get some nice shots, take you through a little review, and then get a bit of our thoughts and feelings for my first time driving a Ferrari, and also with it being left-hand drive in the UK, that's going to be something quite cool as well.
And a big thanks to the owner for letting this happen. It's got around 138,000 kilometers, which is around 85,000 miles. It is a 97 GTS F1, so that means it's got the F1 transmission, which is kind of like a electronically operated manual with paddles, and it's a GTS, so that means the roof comes off. It's like a Targa roof, it's not the Spider, and the Berlinetta is the hardtop. So obviously, Ferraris, as we all know, mostly are mid-engined. 265s at the back, quite a little classic Pirelli tyre here, quite authentic of the time, P0, but classic looking one, and same up the front as well with the P0. Obviously you've got the lovely prancing horse on the side, which make sure you don't confuse it with an MR2. Pop-up headlamps, last one, do pop-up headlamps, and I think the last Ferrari they hand built as well. After this, it was started going back to more modern techniques.
So I'm going to take this for a bit of a drive, and we'll show you through it.
And then away we go. After being in this car for a little bit, it's not quite as fast as modern cars. And I know I told you it was more about the whole personality of it, but in comparison to modern cars, it's definitely not the fastest.
Yeah, when you look at all these modern cars nowadays, especially things like the Golf R, all these 2-litre turbos, they just have this punch as soon as you get on the throttle, and this just doesn't have that. I mean, I'm sure a modern Golf R is actually faster than this, which is quite crazy when you think of this. If you told one of the Ferrari designers back in the 90s that a Golf would be quicker than this, they would be absolutely mad at you, but that's just how modern cars are. However, what Golf R doesn't have, it doesn't have the character, it doesn't have the beauty, it doesn't have that sort of spirit, especially if we take the Targa top off, you just get all the sounds, all the atmosphere. It's quite something.
In the engine compartment, we have a 3.5 litre V8 that revs to 8,500 RPM, 5 valves per cylinder. It makes around 375 horsepower, right at the top, 8,250 RPM, and it makes around 300 pound-feet of torque at 6,000 RPM. So you really have to rev these things out. But my God, it does reward you for revving it out, because the sound on this thing is like nothing else. And that peak torque is around 270 pound-feet.
Which isn't even that much.
It's not even that much.
In the grand scheme of things, any sort of 2-litre nowadays will have more than that.
Yeah, 2-litre turbos nowadays make that a lot lower as well. And they also weigh around the same. This thing does weigh just shy of 1,400 pounds, so that sort of power to weight and torque to weight ratio is not actually that much. So as we're just going for a little bit of a village right now, what is a car like to drive around at slow speeds? And honestly, it's not the worst. I've definitely had worse cars driving around in town. I mean, obviously being an auto is not so bad either. It would be nicer to control the clutch yourself, because especially if you put it into the auto mode, it likes to stay in second instead of going into first and slip the clutch quite a lot, which doesn't feel very nice. So around town I like to do the paddles myself. But then once you get going, the auto is fine.
But how is it just driving around normally? Well, I've already mentioned around town how it was and how it was sort of very drivable. But how is it when you're cruising? Just cruising down the road at 50-60 mile an hour. It's very quiet. I mean, you can easily have a conversation in here, and considering the amount
for the tracking of something like this. But just going around the roads, you can feel how much potential this thing has around a track. Really set up for going fast, even you've got the sports dampers and everything going.
So this is the first Ferrari I've ever had the pleasure of driving, so thank you to the owner for letting us have it. But as you can see, it is such a beautiful car. Got the badge, got the lovely red paintwork. It is such a nice colour. You've got obviously the got 4 piston brakes on the front and rear, so plenty of stopping power as well, so plenty of confidence when driving it. So one thing about with these slightly older cars is the way that they are designed. They're a bit wacky in certain ways. For instance, the door handle is all the way under here, almost hidden, but then they still put the keyhole there, which is a little bit weird. You've got the awesome vents here on the doors, or on the inside of the doors, I should say. But if you look on the actual door itself, you can get all the way through to get a nice air scoop. And one of the reasons why, if you actually get a right-hand drive Ferrari, they are kind of weird, is because look how far the pedal is over. If your right leg is here, the throttle is going to be all the way over. So the owner of this car does actually have a manual one of these in right-hand drive, and it's all a bit weird with where the pedal set is, because they just weren't designed for right-hand drive. You can't miss on a Ferrari, is especially their rear ends. They just look so good. And this, you've obviously got the quad exhaust, the quad headlights, or rear tail lights, I should say. Obviously down here, nowadays you have pockets and stuff, but you don't have anything here. You don't have a glove box or anything. But yeah, I mean, I guess some good things as well. We've got the 3 tachos right here, so you can obviously
oil pressure,
see what you got,
fuel level, and the time.
Yeah, interesting that they've got the time. Up here in the middle, you've got obviously your gauge for the gears, which is quite good. Obviously this is a European car. Everything is in European units. Got down here we got the all the controls, and this is the little reverse selector, which is quite interesting. Got auto there, obviously traction control, and yeah, it is all pretty nice, but it is starting to look a little bit dated now, I would say, but it still looks very good. And obviously you got this lovely stitching and everything, so it is I would say it's a very good interior of a car. Obviously you got the lovely badge there as well, and overall I'd say the interior is really nice, so that is pretty good. But it's just one of those things where it's starting to look a little bit older now.
It's just cool, isn't it? All the stitching around here, it's really, really cool.
Definitely one thing with this car, the visibility is pretty bad. I mean, obviously forwards is not too bad. Quite a lot of old cars have a lot less chassis pillars and stuff like that than the newer cars that need to be stronger, but looking out for the blind spots and out of that mirror is just, I can't see anything. Sound!
Can't beat that.
But that is, I can't stop doing this. That is what you want in the Alps. You want that bouncing off the walls. You don't want any faster than this, otherwise you can go off a cliff.
Yeah, this is plenty faster, but that sound is amazing.
I think modern cars actually miss this. Modern cars actually miss the slower but more passionable kind of driving. You know, you drive a modern Ferrari, you're like this the whole time, whereas this, you can relax, and enjoy the sound, the moment, the music. It's music, man. I mean, listen to it. Yeah. So you really want to have those nice tarmac roads in Europe.
Having said that, the UK roads are nothing like what they are in Europe. Even in the mountains, the roads are better than this, and it's so good.
Because they just take a beating in the winter, these roads. I wouldn't say it's a performance machine in modern day standards. There's a lot of stuff out there that's a lot quicker, but I think now it harks back to, like, in '97 it was pretty good, and I think the power and the way it delivers the power is in a much more usable and fun way on the road compared to a modern supercar where you're reaching 600, 700 horsepower, which you can never use on the road. They originally came out in '94. It was the highest horsepower per litre car, around 107, and you paid £85,000 for that, which in 1994 was a lot of money. It begs the question, is a Ferrari worth the money? Paying that sort of money, you've got to really be into it, because you can buy a lot of quick machines out there for that. You can buy a lot of all-rounders. You can buy multiple cars for that. But if Ferrari is the only answer for you, I think it's definitely a Ferrari. So for £60,000 on the Ferrari scale, it's cheap. So if you want a Ferrari, I think it's full Ferrari and it's definitely worth it. But £60,000 is a lot of money if it's going to be your only car, and I don't think it's an only car at all. Weekend or road trip only. Hope you enjoyed watching. I'll see you sometime soon.